Is that better? Hey, what a poor start. I watched a little bit of the last video that I put out. I was sitting there last night and I don't know what the hell I was doing, but I had the old tube on. And surprisingly, the last video that I'd done on this a couple of days ago popped up and I watched a few minutes of it. I appreciate the people that have watched that because that was kind of a yawner. I don't watch my videos. Not because I don't want to be masochistic, because I got nothing to be masochistic about. But I see enough of it when I'm editing it on the little phone. Because, I mean, you sit there forever and you know, cutting shit up. So by the time I've spent the time doing that, I figure I've seen enough. But I don't usually watch the finished product. And I appreciate the people that sat through that because it was kind of a yawner. So anyways, there's my apology. It's not much of an apology, is it? And regardless of that, to make it more interesting, I am not changing my name to Sir Farts a Lot. Our problem when last we left, I needed a fan spacer, so I found a fan spacer. You know how hard it is nowadays to find one of these little father mucking son of my bastages? I don't know what it's like where you live, but where I live, the parts stores in town, your bumper to bumper, your Napa, your whatever the hell, Billy's Parts and goddamn chicken feed or wherever you go. I don't give a shit where you go. It's probably the same places where I went. Nobody sells these anymore. The old fan spacer. So I went down to a little speed shop, and it just so happens that I know the guy that owns it a little bit. So just in brief discussion on why I need this, and why he only had one on his shelf, because he doesn't sell a lot of these either, but a few. And this is just the perfect height too, regardless. So talking to him for just a minute on what I'm doing here. Hey, how's it going? What do you got going on here? Because I mean, he builds hot rods and street machines and shit down there too, so we spend 2 minutes being pleasant to each other before we both figure out, get the hell out of here so I can go back to work. So briefly, discussion about this, talking about how the fact that this motor is really old, been sitting a long time, and unwrapped it, put it in the car, talking about my pre-oiling, etc., and then adjusting the valve train. And I already kind of know this, but I guess not enough. You can't just Google something and take it for granted that your first 17 options, 22 options, because of course the first 3 pages, if you adjust, I'm going to jump around a little bit, if you Google up adjusting Pontiac valve train, well, the first thing it's going to do is try to sell you some roller rocker arms and then, you know, like stud girdles and everything else. And then by the time you finally get down to something that says how to adjust Pontiac valve train, it's all in how you Google it, because thing after thing after thing gave me the old half a turn preload. So the problem was, I Googled how to adjust Pontiac valve train. This will be a factory built motor. I'm going to verify that in a minute because I got to take these turkeys back off again. Because if this motor is stock, it has non-adjustable valve train. I didn't know that. I'm going to pull a rocker off to make sure that there is in fact a step on that stud, and if that is the case, well then you torque them down, and again the Google tells me anywhere from 20 to 45 foot-pounds of torque because it's not adjustable valve train. So as long as when they built this motor, as long as they didn't have to plane the heads too much, and as long as they didn't deck the block too much, give that block a good decking, would you? A nice deck. Then it's non-adjustable valve train. If there has been a bunch of machine work done to that, well, your valve train's out the window, then your lash is going to be way too tight. So I am going to pull the rockers back off again, and this time it'll be way easier because I just get a torque wrench and go. So it is a good thing, and there's even been comments on that last video on how how I probably have my valve train settings wrong. And I looked at the first comment was vague. It just said 25 foot-pound torque spec. On what? The air cleaner wing nut, the hose clamps, on what? My shoelaces. But then somebody else got in there and said Pontiac Motors, and obviously somebody who knew something said the same thing. It should be, I think they said 45 foot-pounds. So I'm going to set them at 40. They're a 3/8 stud, so they'll take 40 pounds. So that'll be one of the first things that I got to do here. Then I'm going to oil it again, but I'm not going to rotate it because I know for a fact that we are dead nuts, top dead center on number 1. I'm going to try to start this son of a bitch today, is what's going on here. By the end of this video, this thing's either going to be running or there's going to be the big end of a connecting rod laying on the floor underneath it. She should run. I know for a fact the carburetor works because I put it on my truck. When I had a truck with a carbonator on it, I put that one on it and I ran it for a while. So it is set, the idle right now is probably 800 or 900 RPM it's set at, and it's probably going to be a little bit lean for this motor, but for the first fire up that ain't going to matter. So if I moved my mic too, because somebody said they couldn't hear me very well, and I noticed when I was watching that video last night that I wasn't very loud on it. But I don't really like it putting where it is, because when I'm doing stuff, you get a bunch of that. How you like that? Probably not very much. I don't like it either. But hello, maybe you can hear me better. So I am going to, I'm going to get to getting here because I got stuff to do. My vents don't go down to 20. It only goes down to 30. And I did the other side already, and when I went to 40, it didn't want to stop. I never got to 40. It just kept on going. 30, it'll click. So I pulled a rocker off over yonder, and the studs, I was expecting to see a hard step on the stud where the fulcrum, I guess, would bottom out. It didn't do that. It's got a taper on it. It's tight, but it's got a taper on it. So I don't know what the voodoo is here. I've never had non-adjustable valve train before. So I'm doing them at 30 on the other side, did them all to 30, and then I just took a regular watchet and I loosened it off, and as soon as I cracked it loose, it was loose. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't under. And it was, I don't know which valve it was, if it was open or closed, and it don't matter. So I'm doing them at 30. I'm not comfortable with 20. I don't think that's enough. I mean, 20, shit, that's barely hand tight. I mean, a fella probably, in the mornings, a fella probably grabs old Buford with more than 20 pounds of grip strength, I'm guessing. So yeah, I'm going to 30 and I'm good with that. If this was my motor, and I would be quite happy if it was. Believe me, if this was my car. But so anyways, yeah, I'm good with 30, and if it was my car, I'd run it at 30. So that's where they're at. Are we on? That was a nice save. I'm glad that, where are you dirty prick? Oh, you son of a bitch. I'm glad that I read the comments and that somebody commented on that video and said, you dumb dink, they get torqued to whatever the hell they get torqued to. Because that would not have been good. Holy hell. Some of them. You know, I hate things that you can either see it or you can do it. You can't see what you're doing. Oh, got it. That valve train, that would have come apart. I'll bet you that would have come apart within a minute or two of this thing spinning. Especially once I'd have picked the RPM up to break the cam in. So, can't remember who it was, what the guy's stage name that commented on that. Actually, it was more than one person said that there's a fella, I think the VEG 45 pound comment was from some fella that's into old Impalas, like the old early 70s Impalas. Can't remember what his stage name is, but I paid enough attention that I know that's what he's into. He was the first one. But like I say, it doesn't want to take 45 at 40, it wasn't stopping, so we're at 30. That's a nice, between the 20 pound and the 45 pound comments, that's where this dumb dink is going to put them. Dink is a good word, hey? Dink, dink. Just say that. Say it a couple of times. You dink. What a dink. If people call me a dink, I am offended. Not at all, because I think that's a funny word, dink. You can call me dink all day long, all you want. It almost makes me laugh when I say it. You big dink. Look at that dink. Listen here, dink. It's the little things in life. Especially when you're a dumb dink. Here, look at this stupid thing. Check this out. Would you? Could you? Can I get it? There it is. See that? What the hell is that? I forgot about that. Look at the size of that vacuum port. Like, look at that big dink. And then look at the big hole in the end of that dink. What kind of transsexual, kinky, like, holy shit. That's as big as a heater hose. What kind of vacuum line are you plugging into that, boys and girls? It's a good thing I found a plug that big around. I mean, that takes a... Never mind, I almost made an inappropriate phrase there with the old... I finally found a plug to go in that... Actually, it's a cap. But what the hell is that? Look at the size of that son of a bitch. Let me tell you something else. If you can put that 2-inch spacer in there with them long bolts, 2.5-inch long bolts, probably even more, 3-inch long bolts, and get it all together in that little space there, and put that all together and get that all done without having to sign yourself up for anger management before you're done, well, hats off to you, and you can kiss my ass all at the same time. I will take my hat off while you can kiss my ass. If you can do that without turning the air blue around you and scaring a cat. So there. A jug of pre-mixed antifreeze here, 4 liters a gallon, I suppose. Pre-mixed, so it's 50-50 with water. It's $4 more than a jug of concentrate. Does that make sense? You get half as much. What the hell kind of world have we got going on here? And who doesn't know the difference and is paying that? Because you should cut it out. I don't have a lot of confidence in the factory temperature gauge working. And I mean, it's in there in the dash and I'm not going to be in there. So I bought this cheap piece of shit to put in here. I mean, at least I stuck it in the furnace while the furnace is running and the gauge moved, so I know it does something. One thing that I don't get is you watch a lot of these, I watch a lot of these, different people's YouTube channels. And the old mechanics, a lot of them, everybody works on the older stuff because that's what I watch anyways. Everybody that I watch works on the older stuff because they don't like newer stuff. It's stupid. But one thing that I don't get is all these older fellers, and even the younger fellers that work on the older stuff, everybody always says, when they go to do something, well, I don't have any metric wrenches. I hope this works because I don't got a metric wrench. Even if you live in Alabama, how the hell are you putting something together with new parts without any metric tools? Because everything's made in China. And China doesn't have the standard system. And if they do, it's a rough estimation of a 1/2-inch bolt. It's actually probably 12.5 millimeters. Like all this stuff for this gauge, it's all metric sizes. The adapter to go into the manifold's 22 millimeters. The hoojamafuzz with the thingamabob that goes to the whatchamadoo up here, it's a 17 millimeter. I don't get how you can work on stuff and not have any metric wrenches nowadays. Because, like I just said, God damn it, everything's metric. Everything's Chinese. Here, how are we going to professionally mount that? Here, how's that? That's pretty good, hey? I just need a hose clamp around there. I got a tack here too that I dug out of a box that I got that I'm going to hook up. So I can keep an eye on that for... I'm confident this is going to be a success here. So yeah, I want to get ready so that once she cracks off, I can crank that idle up to, up into there. And I put $30 worth of gas in it, which is about 2.5 quarts. So hopefully that lasts this big behemoth long enough to get some runtime on the cam. So that's done. Got some antifreeze in there. I got enough antifreeze going in through the block that the radiator's about half full to this point, so we need a little more in there. I'm just about to the point I got to put some juice clamps on it and prime the oil again. Then I'll clock the Distributor, and we're just about there. I'm starting to get nervous. It's been a while. Son of a bitch. So I think I'm ready to go here. That Distributor, trying to drop that son of a bitch in there. You know what? I ain't built 100 motors in my life, but I'll bet you I've dropped 100 distributors. And I ain't never had anything put up a fight like that dirty bastard. Would you? Some of my dirty, stinky, cockeyed, lazy-eyed, hair-lit bitch. Something's missing between the oil pump drive and the oil pump. Because I don't know how it is that I was able to get that Distributor out of there, and it was tight. Like it's a new thingamawhat's. It's a flame, whatever the hell it is. So it's snug in the first place going in there. Like it's tighter than a factory one because it kind of jiggles and jiggles and jiggles and kind of changes your train of thought when you start thinking about things jiggling, doesn't it? Anyways, enough with the jiggling. Getting some of my bitch in there. Well, I don't know how I managed to get it out of there, and I've had it in there once since. And then I put a thingamawhat's on the Hoojimafuzz to run that oil pump. Christ, a dozen times. It's been fine. I go to drop that Distributor in, can't get the prickly paired hooer bag mother to drop. And in dinking around with it, trying to get it to do. What are you looking at, Fatty Cakes? Fatty Cakes is giving me this stuff. She's like, sup? Couldn't get the son of a bitch to drop, so I'm kind of trying to walk it. I don't know if you've ever done it before, but you kind of bump the Distributor up and walk it around the teeth on the cam to try to get it to line up. Anyways, I'm walking back and forth long enough that I'm just trying to get the cock biter in there. I don't even give a shit where the timing is. I just want to see if it'll go back in there, because it ain't going back in there. Well, in doing that, I managed to dislodge the rod out of the oil pump. You think I could get that dirty hooer back in there again? What time is it? I got probably an hour and a half involved in dropping that Distributor between the initial cussing and swearing. Then, once I got my head around the fact of what had to be done, and okay, well, now you just got to do it. Then I'm in there with, where are you little bastard? So I got a magnet, a little magnet here, and it's one of the ones that's got an aluminum shield on the end, because I got another one that doesn't. I'm putting it in there to try to grab that little rod, and kink, 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 kink. You're catching everybody all, So this guy's good, because it don't stick to nothing through that aluminum, but it sticks good. Yeah, well, stay on the floor then, you dirty prick. Anyways, in there with a magnet, trying to tilt it, because it's on an angle, so you can't just try to stand that the drive rod upside down, which I tried to do a few times. That doesn't work because it's got to go in on an angle. So once I got it in on an angle, there doesn't really seem to be much that holds it there. It's just by chance. It's almost like the oil is gluing it in place there. I don't get it. Knocked it back off of there a half a dozen times trying to do it again. Finally got everybody to go, and then wasn't convinced that it worked, because why would it work now, right? So then I pulled the Distributor again, rod was still there. I didn't touch nothing when I pulled it, right? Rod was still down in there. Put a screwed flat blade down in there, turned it, it's still engaged. Dropped the Distributor, I did that 3 times. The rod stayed there all 3 times. The first time I dropped the rod, when it come out of there, it sounded like it hit steel. Almost like, like it didn't go kink and hit the engine block or anything cast. It hit sheet metal. It hit a panel, it hit something. It hit the oil pump pickup, it hit, maybe it's got a factory windage tray, I don't know. It hit something, it didn't hit an iron block, it hit something made out of sheet metal. Anyways, and all the other times of dropping the dirty prick back in there, I never heard it hit the sheet metal again. So it's in there, I'm hoping for the best. Because this thing's got a factory oil pressure gauge in it, and I don't know that heat sunk, pardon, it's after lunch. that the heat sink electric oil pressure sender over there, I don't know if the factory gauge works. So I'm not sure what I'm going to be up to here. I might just roll it over a whole bunch and then pull a valve cover off and make sure that some oil worked its way up there. I don't know. But anyways, dirty bastard. So it's in. I got the timing set. I would say it's got maybe 2 or 3 degrees in it, give or take. I got the tits, the one tit's just ahead of the other tits. So the tits are kind of lopsided a little bit. And I believe on this thing I'm going to want to rotate distributor towards the firewall to advance it, turn it to the left to advance it. So, I mean, I only got that much room to give it the retard. Hopefully, that way's retard and that way's advance. Because yeah, once I want to put 15, 20 degrees in it, well, it'll take a quarter turn, so we'll have room there to do that. There's gas in it, so I am to the point now. Had a look at the fuse box. Took the tinfoil tape off of the brake light fuse. So this thing probably never has had brake lights, but he's always been in front of everybody anyways. So now it's time to hook the battery up and check for smoke. So here's the battery. So the battery cables, you can't see them. One's black and the other one's red. That's how we'll know positive from negative. So I was always told, trained, taught that you should hook the positive up first and then ground it after that. So that's what I'm going to do. Here goes the positive. Come on now. See, this thing's just going to argue with me until the project gets loaded up on a trailer and goes home done now, because that's the way this kind of stuff goes, right? So that's good. Even just to put the ground to this thing, how's that saying go? I'm nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of wheelchairs, stuff like that. My arse is puckered so tight you couldn't jackhammer a sewing needle in it. Oh yeah, because I want to make sure that my power to my distributor works too, so I got to check that. Anyways, what I'm going to endeavor to do here is I'm going to hook it up, and I'm going to make sure that nothing explodes, and then I'm going to go inside and make sure everything seems all right, and then I'm going to power a key up and see what happens. I don't think this thing's had a key powered to it for, I don't even know, 25, 30 years since somebody's turned the key on this thing. So, wish me luck. So I turned the key on and the factory temperature gauge went up to 0, so that's good. We got distributor power, so that's good. What do I want to do next? Oh yeah. Okay, we'll shut the key off. Are we on? We're on. This is it. It's gassed. I hope the oil pump works. It's watered. I poured a way bunch of gas down the carburetor. I got a button hooked up for the Distributor. Key's not on, but it does that. I hope I got enough cheese in the battery. I see that we got power for Mr. Distributor. I rolled it over a little bit there a minute ago. So actually, I'm going to roll it over a little bit more. Like I said, I don't know. I don't know if the oil pressure gauge works in this thing. I see the carburetor leaks. Hey, that means the fuel pump is pumping. So that's good if the carburetor leaks. Well, as good as... never mind. That's not good that the carburetor leaks. I'm going to put power to it. I'm scared. I don't want to. Wow. I think it wants quite a bit more gas. Cheers, that went badoom boom. I hope we get more than badoom boom. How's that? Wow, that's an exhaust leak. That almost sounded like an exhaust crossover leak. As the phrase goes, I'm throwing in the towel. Here, let me get another one. Here, what do you think of that? I'm not happy with it just going boom, 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 boom. It's done that a few times. I don't know what's going on. I don't even know. I've probably gone through the range of, I would guess, 10 to 15 degrees of timing either way. I know it's getting gas. There's gas in the float bowl, and I know it's getting that beforehand because it had the hell of a leak down on the bottom. But yeah, I'm not happy with that, and I pulled this valve cover off because I was concerned that maybe I don't have enough valve movement, because I don't even know. Like, the thing sat forever with collapsed lifters in it, so. And in taking that off, I ain't happy with how much oil is laying on those rockers. There should be a lot more oil in there than that, I would think, for the amount of rotating and boom booming this thing has done. And there ain't enough oil in there. I'm not happy with that. So I don't know that I've engaged that oil pump drive shaft. So I'm done. That's it. This isn't mine. If this was mine, then absolutely I would carry on with it. But this isn't my motor, and it's not my money, and Pontiacs are expensive, and I ain't buying him a new. And I haven't done this in a long time, and this will be the last in-depth mechanical work that I do, because, as I say, I am at a point of no bueno, as you might, whatever the hell that means. So I have made a phone call. I know a fella who is I don't know what you call him, a house call mechanic. And he's a hot rod builder and a mechanic guy, and he has an absolute plethora of knowledge and abilities. So I've thrown in all my towels. There they all are. And I'm going to wait on tomorrow. His name's George. George is going to come by, and we're going to start from scratch on it. He's done this a hell of a lot more than I have, and so I'm going to let him say yay or nay. I trust his opinion as much as I would trust having this thing hauled into a shop somewhere and having a whole gaggle of guys crawl all over it. So I am ending this video an utter goddamn failure. 2 thumbs down, kiss my ass, you son of a bitch. How's that?